Okay, so that's the second guest. They're also higher than us. So we have two guests that are considered to be higher than us in this hierarchy of relationship. Then the third guests are all sentient beings. So they're on the same level as us, all sentient beings. Huge category of guest. That doesn't just mean human beings, right? It means beings in the 6 realms. So that means animals, hungry ghosts, hell beings. So all sentient beings are in the category, the general category of the third guest. And in particular, it's those sentient beings that that are objects of our compassion. So beings that are suffering in some way, poor. They're poorer, they're weaker, they're sicker, they're helpless, they want something from us. Okay, so they're beings in the 6 realms that are in need of help. So they're objects of our compassion. We generate compassion for them. Right? We don't generate compassion for the first guest or the second guest. We generate respect, right? Devotion. For the third guest, we generate compassion. And so with the third guest and also with the fourth guest, when we invoke them in our offering, we ask them to please come peacefully. Like you'll see in the lines of the text, please come to this place peacefully. Give up your anger, give up your malice. Here we're talking to the third guests. Okay, so you have to know when you're saying these practices, who are you talking to? Who are you offering to? Right? So the third guests, all sentient beings, are the object of our compassion. We request that they please, we invite them to come peacefully, we make a request. And then we make this offering to satisfy their needs. Right? So the intent of our offering in this case is to satisfy them. Also with the fourth guest, is to satisfy their needs. And in exchange, the gifts we receive is merit. We receive the gift of merit. Right? Merit, again, is a big concept in Buddhism. We receive merit for relieving their suffering, for satisfying their needs. Right? So for example, in the song practice, there's a section where we're doing mudras and we're doing the sky treasury mantra, and then we're offering the smoke, Om Ahom, Om Ahom, Om Ahom. In there we have to make this intention. May the smoke be whatever you need. Right? So the smoke transforms whatever they need, may it satisfy you. Okay, so it's to satisfy and to receive merit. Merit is the gift that we receive. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. So third guest. Third guest is a big category. Those are the sentient beings who are, subject to the 3 poisons, just like us. Then we have the fourth guest. Okay, this is the beings that are on a lower category, that we innately put on a lower category because we don't want them around. Fourth guests are karmic debts. Those to whom we owe karmic debts. And of course, these can be any sentient being in any of the 6 realms. But they're specifically those beings that we owe something and they want it. So there's this idea that, they're coming back to repay their karmic debt. So it's the fourth guest that causes the most problems for us. Those are what we call the obstacles, the obstructors. In some texts they're called demons. They give the word of a demon. Basically a demon is just, that kind of negative energy that sort of cuts the continuation of us being able to continue something, right? Interrupters. Right? So there's all kinds of names for them. These are the fourth guest. They're karmic debts. And it's based on the idea that, in all of our lifetimes, of course, from the Buddhist point of view, we've had many, 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 many lives. Not always as humans. You can't even go as far back where we began. And in the course of all those many lifetimes, we have done harmful things. We have taken and we've stolen from others. We've killed others. We've harmed others. We've caused suffering for others. Knowingly or unknowingly, we have. In this life also, we cause harm knowingly and unknowingly. Right? And part of our practice is to start to become aware of that and to change our habits. But all the times that we have caused harm, we create a karmic debt. We cause suffering for someone, something, some being. Right? And in their mind they have some anger or malice or dissatisfaction towards us. That's a karmic debt. Right? And maybe we die and we take another birth, and they've taken rebirth, and who knows what form. Those karmic debts are still there. And so it's these karmic debts that are coming up for repayment that cause problems for us, that cause misfortune. Why we have misfortune. Why we can never get money. Why I can't get this job. Why this success isn't coming in the hand. Why I'm not getting this recognition, why others are blaming me, why I'm having all these problems, why I'm, blah, 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 blah. Obstacles, 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 obstacles. And we don't know why, in our sort of relative truth way of looking at it doesn't make sense, but it just always seems. So these karmic debts are coming up to be repaid. And often they're karmic debts with beings in these realms, who we hurt one time long ago, and they have this feeling that they want something. They're going to harm us, and they want something from us. Right? Sometimes they don't, these beings don't necessarily understand why, but they just, they're antagonistic towards us. Right? There's some karmic debt there that has to be repaid. So we use these kinds of offerings to repay those karmic debts by making song offerings, by offering these substances which gives them nourishment that they can take in. They get what they need, and they become satisfied. Right? So, think about it. When somebody is giving you a hard time, right? You think they're causing problems for you. Actually, they're just trying to get some need met. And when you fulfill their need, whatever that is, they become peaceful. Satisfaction is the opposite of suffering, actually. In the Buddhist tradition, there's a lot of talk about suffering. Shakyamuni taught about dukkha, which gets translated as suffering, but it really means dissatisfaction, chronic dissatisfaction. That feeling of dissatisfaction is what causes us to grasp at things or push things away, or causes us to blame or say critical things to someone or her. It's, this, I'm not getting what I want. I'm dissatisfied. That kind of, right? That's a state of dissatisfaction. Or somebody hurt you long ago and you're not able to forgive that. You always have this kind of, right? That's dissatisfaction. You can't be really happy. You can't be really peaceful because there's always this dissatisfaction. So this is a skillful way of giving all these realms of beings that, in some life has been our mother. That's the other idea in Buddhism, all sentient beings sometime have been our mother. So that's just to kind of give us the idea of how extensive our connections are with all beings. And at some point we've done something wrong, and now it's a kind of like a forgiveness, to repay karmic debts. So our offering becomes a form of repayment. Lama Dawa says it's the bail bond. Sort of free us from, imprisonment of this karmic net that we're in. And this is a huge, huge, huge area that, Westerners don't really give this enough importance when they are having trouble accomplishing what they want. And even if it's accomplishing your practice, you're a practitioner and you want to go to this retreat and you want to travel to India and you want to do all these things, but you can't get the money, or some problem comes up, or your health, there's always like these obstacles. And a lot of times, most of the time, it comes up because you have these karmic debts. You've got to repay these karmic debts. And so until you repay these karmic debts, you're never really going to be free to move forward. So this can sometimes make a huge difference in the progress of our aspirations when we repay these karmic debts. I've seen this again and again and again. Again, with people coming to Lama Dawa for divinations, for all these problems, when they do practices like Riwo Sangsho, maybe it will say do Riwo Sangsho 100 times or as many times as your age. Like a real concentrated amount. Something really shifts, And then there's other practices like feeding hungry ghosts and things like that we can also do to repay these karmic debts. But this Riwo Sangsho is a very skillful way to repay karmic debts to all these realms and dimensions that we generally have no idea about. We just go about our day without having any idea that we have these connections, unpaid debts to pay back. Yeah, so I have found, in the divinations, things like freak accidents or just, a sudden loss that's unexpected or sudden misfortune. A lot of that is karmic debts, unpaid karmic debts. All the conditions came, to ripen, and then that's what happened. So fourth guest, we invite out of compassion, right? We don't demand that they come. Right? We ask them nicely, please come, I have something very nice for you. I want to give you something very sweet, very nice. Right? And think about doing that with a human karmic debt you might have with somebody. Somebody you have this antagonistic relationship with, you have some kind of karmic debt. Think about going to them with, I have something so nice for you. That would be hard to do, I think. Wouldn't it? Because you're angry, You need to apologize to me, Right? You did something hurt me, right? We harbor this kind of... So we've turned them into a fourth guest, right? With our anger and our unforgiveness, they've become a fourth guest. So the strategy here is to, please come, I have this wonderful thing, please come. Invite them, right? That's the kind of skillful strategy. Then they take your offering and then they're satisfied. Then there's no more of that tension between you. There's not a tense relationship anymore. And then you'll notice things start to change. Your fortune, they call fortune, your luck, what you want, you start to be able to accomplish. Good circumstances start to come spontaneously. You'll really find this to be true. Okay, so it's really important to try to sort of identify these four guests. We all feel differently towards them. Identify them. Notice how you feel about them. Cultivate these relationships with them. And also notice, which of the four guests do I feel the strongest connection with? And which do I feel the weakest connection with? Because those may be areas in our life that we can pay attention to. It's also helpful to sort of conjure up an image, right? You can conjure up images of them in your mind so that you can connect and make it real for you. And then you'll start to feel the difference between these different guests. Okay, it feels like it's time for a little break. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what time it is. Who can tell me the time? Noon. Is it noon? Okay. Yeah, then why don't we take a break for lunch? Does every